All right, family, we are on chapter 5 of Hurt Used to Live Here. Sometimes beauty can conceal the deepest scars by a black woman named Joyce Reed. All right, here we go, chapter 5. Death Rises. October 3rd, 1991, at around 6 a.m. in the morning, I found out what losing someone close felt like. I was getting ready for Catholic school and was forced to put on an ugly burgundy and plaid outfit with a white butterfly collar uniform. I can't forget the long burgundy socks we had to wear with the black Mary Janes. I hated that uniform. Anyway, as I was putting my uniform on, I heard a loud bang over my head. My mom ran upstairs. I was scared, so I ran too. Bang, bang, bang. My uncle and my mom are banging on the bathroom door. No one replied, so my uncle was forced to break down the door. The door came open and I saw my great grandma on the floor. She had slipped out of the tub and hit her head on the radiator. Oh my God. I saw her for only about 3 seconds. Then they closed the door, and as I listened at the door, I heard my granny say, "I love you all, and make sure you tell those kids to stay in school and be good." At that moment, I knew what losing a loved one felt like at 9 years old. You were told that they go to heaven, but I didn't understand why. I was just getting to know my granny. My granny was laid to rest at the age of 84. I was sad and emotional, but I don't really remember anything after the funeral. I do remember she used to make me the best rice pudding in the world. She always made me my own bowl, and no one was to touch it. That's what I do remember about my granny. She was caring, loving, beautiful, and loved to cook. I recall when I went to her room one night to tell her I loved her, and as I walked into her room with no shoes or socks on, my mom hated when we walked around with no shoes, and she said it will make our feet big or cold, would set up in our feet from the cold floor. By not listening, I got a half an inch from her bed and stepped on an old rusted nail, and it went into my entire foot. Oof! My granny used her old remedies and made me feel better. I learned that if you are not as close to your family, you need to put all the drama, excuses, hurt, pain, rebellion, and pettiness to the side and get to know your family. Life is too short to hold a grudge. I was actually too young to have a long relationship with my granny because God called her home when I was a baby myself. Some of you have great grandmothers that are still alive to this day and cherish those moments and get to know your family history and learn what the world was like without reading it on TV. Learn what the truth is. Love until you can't love anymore. Lost in the world so young. When I was around 11 or 12, my aunt had a best friend by the name of Dayon, and they always used to hang out together a lot. Dayon had a daughter, and her name was also Dayon. We called her Little Dayon and Big Dayon. We were the same age, just like 2 weeks apart, and we started going to the same elementary school and walking home together. Little Dayon's auntie stayed about 3 blocks from the school we attended, and since I wasn't in that school district, I was using someone else's address. Some days walking home with Dayon after school was cool until my mom or auntie came to pick me up. That's where all my friends were anyway, so I loved it over there. I hated going home because it was boring and I had no one to play with. We became so close that my mom ended up adopting her and taking full custody of little Dion. Her mom was not the worst, but wasn't the best either, and didn't want to change her ways anytime soon. My mom took on the responsibility of caring for this misguided little girl. My mom actually would take anyone in that needed help. She was a good hearted person. I was excited because I had someone my own age to play with. My other brothers and sisters from my stepdad had to go back and live with their mom in Milwaukee after a while, so I was lonely again. So this was a perfect match for me. We talked about a lot, had sleepovers, and shared so many secrets. One secret that she did share with me when she was 10 years old was that she never wanted to go back home with her mom ever again. One day, little Dayon overheard a conversation that Big Dayon was going to try to get her back, and once little Dayon heard that, she was scared and didn't want to go back. So little Dayon came up with this plan to get on her bike and ride until she thought her mom came and left. We both laughed at the idea and said, "Deal." I told her that I would come to the alley and look for her in about an hour or so and give her the clear that her mom had came and left. We hugged each other and said, "I love you and see you later," not knowing that that would be the last time I would see her face alive. Little Dayon was not an average body built girl. She was built like she was a 21-year-old woman but had a baby face. You knew she was a little girl up close, but from a distance you would think she was a woman by her curves and full figure. She was a troubled girl due to her upbringing, which was not her fault. She had a rough life, but was very sweet, and I understood her. Little Dayon ended up meeting this guy on the way to get away from her mom. Little Dayon got tired of riding the bike, so she started to walk the bike. A man saw her walking by and tried to talk to her, and somehow he talked her into coming into his house. Oh my God. There was a gun on the table, and little Dayon went to grab it, and he took it away from her. He then began to show her the gun, and bang, it went off and shot her in her chest. I was at home waiting patiently for her to pull up to the alley, and there was no little Dayon. After a while, my mom called the police, and of course, you could not file a missing persons report until after being missing for 24 hours. They just thought that she was just a runaway. My mom got a call after days and days of waiting from someone asking her to come identify a body that was brought in matching the description of your missing person. She was told that it was brought in days ago with no identification. I can only imagine what my mom was feeling hearing those words. My mom ended up going to identify the body and calling her biological mom, Big Dayon, to come along. My mom walked in, and as they unzipped the body bag, and there was little Dayon lying there, dark and lifeless. She was sitting there for days, and no one even knew or said anything. But that would be too much like right for the police to do their real jobs. My heart was hurt so badly because this is where I'm like, really? 2 deaths of one of my loved ones? Why? Is God real? And why did he let this happen again? I asked. She was a child, a baby, and she didn't even live her life. It just started and ended just like that. I always had questions with little or no answers. Little Dayon was laid to rest on August 5th, 1994. I lost my great grandma and now my sister. Tomboy. My mommy working all the time, 3 jobs at a time, and we were always together and spending our time together. I used to play basketball and football with him and the boys. I would rather hang with boys because girls were about boys and kissing and sleeping with them. I was more like a tomboy when I was younger. I didn't like girly things that much, but my Cabbage Patch doll and my kid sister doll. That's because my brother had the kid brother doll. Yeah. All my dolls had to have bald heads because I didn't like the long, pretty hair. I like dangerous things like putting my tongue on a cold pole, playing ding dong ditch, and playing sports. We would also run from people after me and my brother threw something at them. We were both daring and dangerous together. We had so much fun together. If you saw Michael, you saw me. We were connected by the hip. If he wanted to go somewhere and he got in trouble, I would take the blame and vice versa. All right, guys, that is chapter 5 of Hurt Used to Live Here. All right, thank you for joining me on Storytime. If you like, continue to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you know when I upload videos. And hey, if you want to Venmo me or buy a sister a cup of coffee, go and do so. All right, talk to you soon. Bye.